Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple. We're back with our first in-game analysis of the season, as we look at the German SuperCup final between Favre's Dortmund and Kovac's Bayern at the Westfalenstadion. Both teams were looking for a strong start to the season, but in the end, Dortmund came out on top, thanks to goals from Paco and Sancho. Let's take a look at the tactics both managers used that led to this. But just quickly, if you're new around here and would like to see more football videos, go ahead and hit subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, a like would be great. Feel free to drop video suggestions below as well. Now, let's get into it. First, let's start with the lineups. A good place to look at the lineups, statistics and much more is today's video sponsor, OneFootball. OneFootball is the best football app in order to keep up with your favorite team, transfers and much more. So, if you want to support the channel and get the best free app at the same time, go ahead and hit the link in the description. Dortmund lined up in a modified 4-4-2 with the following lineup. And, in response, Bayern used a 4-3-3 consisting of the following. We'll start with Dortmund in possession. From deep, they looked to play out, taking advantage of the new goal kick law to position both of their centre-backs next to the keeper. This meant that they had 3 men in the deep build-up, but at the same time, the fullbacks were slightly higher and wider, which made it more like 5 men. In turn, Bayern were willing to press deep, but Dortmund's shape meant that they had to commit several men in attack in order to have an effective press. So, this was Dortmund's way of drawing them out of position. From here, Dortmund had a couple of options. Hitz or the centre-backs could try find a penetrating pass into the midfielders. This worked on a few occasions, and the midfielders would use one-touch flicks around the defenders, usually into Reus. With the fullbacks and midfield having been drawn high, this would give Reus and Paco space between the lines to attack with speed, and Sancho would use his pace to join in. Failing this, Hitz would often go long straight into the forwards or the wingers if they had found space. Both of these ploys were designed to draw Bayern in and attack the spaces in between the lines or behind the centre-backs before they could react. This did work, but as the match went on, Bayern became smarter in their pressing. They now allowed the ball to filter out to the right centre-back, Akanji, and targeted their press towards him, and they found success. They would either win possession high up on his side, or force him into possession loss, allowing them to attack high up the pitch. Goretzka created a great chance in this manner. Higher up the pitch, Dortmund moved the defense higher, but Schulz was more aggressive with Piszczek hanging back more. Guerrero would often tuck in to give Schulz more space to progress forward. Weigl or Witsel would aim to dictate just ahead of the centre-backs. And with Schulz high up and Guerrero tucked in, Reus would often drop slightly, meaning that they could overload the left side of the pitch. In this phase, Bayern defended in a 4-1-4-1, but would use a trigger press, so whenever Dortmund began to enter their half, Bayern would press them backwards. Despite the scoreline, Bayern were effective at this strategy, and Dortmund only had 5 shots. But let's see what Bayern did on the ball before looking at Dortmund's goals. Bayern also wanted to play out from the back, but for the most part, neither Tolisso or Thiago would drop deep to get the ball. This is because Dortmund in this phase dropped into a 4-4-2 and did not press high, allowing Bayern to play out. So, Bayern kept these midfielders high in order to create a numerical advantage in the midfield. In fact, the central overload was a major theme for Bayern. When moving up the pitch, Bayern used an interesting system. Thiago, as the premier ball progressor, would position himself in front of the centre-backs to receive the ball. Alaba would move high and so would Kimmich. Tolisso would move into the right-back position, and this would mean Kimmich could move even higher to combine with Müller. They were interchangeable with one more central and the other wide, but either way this often led to 1v1s or 2 versus 2s on the right-hand side. At the same time, their numbers in the centre would push Dortmund deep and into their own box, meaning that they had numbers to aim the cross into in the box, or try to use combination play to play centrally. At the same time, it drew attention central, which opened up the switch to the left, usually to Alaba, as Koeman would move into the left half space. These two would then combine to get the ball into the box. This also worked against them at times, as both fullbacks were pushed high. Tolisso was off-centre and the central midfield slightly high, so there was space between the lines. Dortmund were ruthless on the counter-attack. For the first goal, there's a turnover out wide, and the central Bayern players are fairly high. They try to defend the ball during this turnover, meaning that there are still spaces central where a defensive midfielder would have been. And Sancho squares the ball into the space for Paco to finish. For the second goal, you can see the central players are pushed high up as they look for the goal, as well as the fullbacks. A quick turnover feeds Sancho on the right, who is not only ahead of the retreating fullback, but the centre-backs as well, resulting in a one-on-one which he finishes. Overall, it was a great tactical battle, but if Dortmund want to challenge this season, their defensive positioning will need to improve, as Bayern did create the better chances. But Bayern, on the other hand, will need to focus on stopping opposition transitions more effectively. So as always, this is only a short video, so not every aspect could be covered, so I'm looking forward to seeing your take on the match in the comments below. Also, let me know if you'd be interested in a look at how Kovac and Favre transformed their respective sides last season. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.